Can Will Smith just go away?
Now available in paperback at e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Better get the cool slow, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Actor and rapper Will Smith is being sued for sexual harassment. Now, according to reports, a violinist, Brian King Joseph, who was working on the tour for Will Smith's latest album based on a true story, is making an allegation that he was being sexually harassed by Will Smith. Now, according to these reports, Brian King Joseph, the violinist on this tour for based on a true story, is claiming that an unknown individual allegedly came into his Las Vegas hotel room with no signs of forced entry and made an alleged threat of sexual violence by leaving a handwritten note reading, "Brian, I will be back, just us," with a drawn heart saying "Stone F," as well as wipes, a beer bottle, a red backpack, and a bottle of HIV medication with another person's name, an earring, and a hospital discharge belonging to an unknown person unknown to Joseph. Now, Brian King Joseph alleges that this is a possible case of sexual harassment from Will Smith, and alleges that he was basically being harassed by Will Smith as related to this whole situation. And as he went to go and make a claim of sexual harassment, that's to Will Smith and his management team. This is where the management team on the tour shamed Joseph and then later on told him he was being terminated and another violinist would be hired for the same position on the tour. And this is where Brian King Joseph is claiming emotional distress and economic loss from losing his position. Now, this lawsuit basically comes about 3 years after Will Smith was dealing with the infamous slap that took place at the 2022 Oscars, where Will Smith was nominated for a Best Actor Oscar for his performance in the film King Richard. Now, infamously, Will Smith is known for that night losing his temper when comedian Chris Rock, one of the hosts of the Oscars, wound up making a joke about his wife, Jada Pinkett, saying that she would be the star of G.I. Jane 2. And this is where Will Smith wound up making a decision that basically not only made that night infamous, but basically wound up derailing his career by slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. And after he slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, Will Smith's career went from being at a pinnacle at the peak as related to him receiving a Best Actor award to his whole career going into a state of decline, which basically led to him losing his face not only in the entertainment industry but as a man. Because as this whole incident was going on, his wife Jada Pinkett revealed that she was having an affair with his son's best friend, August Alsina, on the Red Table Talk. And Will Smith then made a response that basically emasculated him as a man, causing him to lose complete face in the eyes of the public and lose the respect of the public that basically was his biggest fan from his legendary career, where he made legendary franchise movies like Men in Black and many other films. Again, Will Smith was a star of multiple blockbusters. Unfortunately, his career it was in a case that it fell apart in an ignominious fashion due to the affair that his wife had emasculating him and the humiliation he suffered at Red Table Talk and the infamous slap at the Oscars. Now, Will Smith, in the face of all of these humiliations, has hoped to try to rebuild his career with a book that basically failed to catch on with readers as he looked to try to find himself, and he's found himself again in a place where he's basically gone nowhere. The whole tour for Based on a True Story, his album that he put out right after the infamous slap, wound up flopping on the top as related to the top 40, not even catching on with people. And this whole allegation as related to this tour further adds to the exacerbation of Will Smith's problems. Now, Will Smith, if these allegations are true, possibly is going to be on the hook for a case of sexual harassment, whether it be unwanted or unwarranted advances. That's one of the terms that, again, constitutes sexual harassment. Now, I don't know if this guy, Brian King Joseph, will be able to prove that in court as related to Will Smith possibly making an advance on him, but he may have a case for proving the term of hostile environment as related to this whole situation, because if he can prove he was terminated after after he made this claim, he then will have a case against Will Smith and the corporation that he was having the tour with. He would have a case for sexual harassment, because this would constitute this individual coming into his hotel room. Again, this would constitute creating a hostile environment if he's a heterosexual individual, and this alphabet person wound up coming into his hotel room, and the response from Will Smith's team was to dismiss the matter. If they were to dismiss the matter and not look to take it seriously, this would constitute creating a hostile environment, and this would lead to Brian King Joseph possibly having a claim for his case and a possible claim to win his case. But optically, this does not look good for Will Smith, whose career has been in decline. I mean, this individual making this allegation of sexual harassment when his wife basically created an entire sex scandal that emasculated him, basically, again, doesn't look optically good for Will Smith. Doesn't look optically good for Will Smith because he's been shown as related to being one of these swingers, and according to some reports, may possibly be one of these guys who basically swings both ways. That's where this whole story becomes extremely salacious and doesn't look good for Will Smith's overall tarnished professional reputation and his overall tarnished personal reputation, because most people now are seeing Will Smith not as a man that they basically admired like they did in the 90s. They're not seeing him as someone that they look up to, but they're looking at him as a sad, pathetic man who really can't get his affairs in order, can't seem to get his affairs in order as related to his life. I mean, when I look at Will Smith, again, it's really sad. I mean, this man was at one time, again, one of the top stars in Hollywood, making $20 million a year in a picture, and was doing so well. He could open a box office movie at #1, again, coming from his Philadelphia roots as the Fresh Prince to becoming one of the top stars. And now he's basically at a place where he's at nearly rock bottom, where the world no longer sees him as anyone respects. No, they just see Will Smith as a emasculated beta male whose house is completely out of order, where his wife has gone out here and humiliated him and taken away his dignity and his self-respect. And this whole claim by Brian King Joseph basically makes it where it looks like this man who lost his face is now in a place where he's looking to go from women to men, and looking like he basically doesn't have any sort of semblance of control over anything in his life or anything as related to himself. Because again, when you have an individual who's going into hotel rooms, this is what this guy is claiming, that Will Smith went into his hotel room to put these things in his place. I don't really believe that to be possible as related to a case of sexual harassment based on the evidence. But what I see here is that he's not really in charge of the people who are working around him, and somebody here, again, didn't deal with this situation as related to sexual harassment. And again, that's all of that bears down on Will Smith, because he's the one who's supposed to be in charge of his business and in charge of things. And again, if somebody, again, just terminates a guy, and that's not what you do in a case of a sexual harassment situation in the workplace. I talk about this in depth in my book, Stop Simping in the Workplace. When it comes down to a workplace situation and a claim of sexual harassment, the thing to do is not to terminate the individual, because then you're creating a paper trail behind yourself, a paper trail behind yourself that makes you look suspicious. And as you look suspicious, again, this is a case going to a civil court, not a criminal court, but a civil court. And based on a preponderance of the evidence, this is a situation that will be looking bad for Will Smith, even if he does give this guy a cash settlement just to get this case out of the way. It basically further makes it where Will Smith loses even more face. I mean, it's bad enough that Will Smith again lost face by being emasculated by his wife and then being humiliated at the Oscars on his night. I mean, this man has lost his complete face. His reputation is in complete ruins, and most people don't even want to see Will Smith anymore. I mean, he went from the man everybody wanted to see at the theater to somebody we all just want to go away. And most people want Will Smith to go away because his life is just that sad. It's just that sad and pathetic to think, again, this movie star has no ability to be able to lead things. I mean, Will Smith went from being the alpha male action hero to be showing the world how much of a beta male he actually is. And this situation with this Brian King Joseph basically exacerbates that situation because, one, it shows that he's not in charge of his business. Two, he's not in charge of his affairs. Three, his house is still not in order, and other people are basically running his show. That's what is being shown here with Will Smith. I mean, he's not in charge of himself as a man. I mean, the basic tenets of manhood for a man is that a man has to be in charge of his business, and he has to be on top of handling his business. But with Will Smith, we see that this man just can't handle his business. And since he can't handle his business, what's happening here with Will Smith is that he's basically being made into someone that basically is no one any man respects, because he basically, again, is not the leader who controls his whole situation. And since he doesn't control his situation, he's gone from being the man that everybody looked up to becoming not only a man in crisis, but a man who's become completely irrelevant. I mean, this whole situation was one that basically came out in the tabloids, but most people, again, like myself, we don't care about Will Smith anymore as related to his celebrity life or his personal life anymore. No, he's lost that much face, and we don't want to hear more about any stories about Will Smith. What we want from Will Smith at this point is for him to just go away, because he says he's going to stay with Jada, again, a woman who emasculated him, and now other men are looking at him as weak, because that's what Brian King Joseph is basically seeing, a guy who is so weak that he doesn't control, again, his whole situation. And that's why he filed this lawsuit, because he was looking for relief to keep his job, but instead of getting relief to deal with this situation, he got no recourse, and that's why he filed this lawsuit. A lawsuit, again, on the hostile environment basically has merit, but Will Smith, again, doesn't see how he looks as a man, and the way he looks as a man is as a man nobody, again, looks to take seriously, but most people are looking at as someone they can easily look to take advantage of. That's what people see Will Smith as, and that's why he's lost face as a man that nobody wants to see anymore. And again, I would rather just see Will Smith go away than hear more stories from him as related to any dysfunctional drama that he's involved with, whether it be in music or film or TV. Now, if you want to check out my screenplay book of a faded actress, black actress in Hollywood, you can check out my book all about Marilyn on Amazon.com in paperback or Kindle format, or you can check out the TV show that was inspired by The Fresh Prince and Clueless, all about Nikki's fabulous first season. Both of those books are on Amazon.com, along with other books I've done, such as Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, And you can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos taking celebrities to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this spooktacular Spinsterella story. Pick up your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.